Alright guys, so Shenmue re-releases. There were some bugs. We know this, we know the game pretty much was released early. We don't know what the decisions were behind that, I don't know why that happened, but it is still being worked on. We have had one major patch already and they're still asking people to send in information for any bugs that you find, and they will keep working on it and make this the best possible version of Shenmue. And we can help them do that. Yes, it's unfortunate. We would have preferred this game to come out completely perfect on the disc. Well, as perfect as could be, of course, remembering that the Dreamcast originals had some bugs as well. But yeah, D3T are working on anything that you've found, and they are willing and soliciting information about these bugs so that they can keep working on it. And that's good. Now, there is a lot of passion for this game. You know, some big YouTubers, some big social media figures have been panning this game for these bugs. GameSack have been very vocal about it on Twitter recently. I got into a back and forth with the GameSack Twitter account talking about this, and I was basically defending Shenmue. I have to, I can't be unbiased about this. Of course, I am a massive Shenmue fan. I named my channel after it. I will shill for Shenmue. I am Shillmueso, okay? Yes. But I will not say anything that is untrue. That's the point. Now, I will fight for this game and I'll be passionate about trying to make sure that we get the best possible version of it. But I'm not going to say anything that's not true. So, yes, the game was released early. Yes, it needs some extra work. And it is being done as we speak. The PC patch is already out. The console patches are dropping very, very soon. And they will continue to work on any bugs that people report to them. So that's good. Now, of course, the reason why I and many others are so passionate about this game, my camera is slipping down, is this was a saga left on a cliffhanger. A story unfinished for over a decade. A game that drew people in and made them fall in love with it in such a way that is very unique amongst games. There has never been another game series that had this level of passion to the extent where it resurrected a forgotten series. And of course, adding to that is the point that it's not just another game of an engine that you like in the way that Mighty No. 9 came out. No, this is the continuation of a story. So for over a decade, all those Shenmue fans have been, dying to continue that story and see what happens. So there's that narrative that's lodged in your brain that you want to continue and get a conclusion for. And the only way for that to happen is for these re-releases and then for Shenmue 3 to sell well. That's the only way that the Shenmue series is going to be completed, is if there is enough financial incentive for the companies that can make the decisions to continue putting out Shenmue games. So of course I'm going to go to bat for Shenmue. Of course the fans are going to go to bat for it. And I got into this exchange with GameSack just saying that they were exaggerating the claims of all of these bugs. Now I'm not saying that they're not there, and I made this very, very clear in the Twitter exchange, which I'll link to you in the low bar. I said several times, I'm not denying that there are bugs, but I'm trying to give you a bit of perspective on this. Nobody likes patches, but this is the world we live in now. Name me one major game that's come out in the last 5 years that hasn't had patches after launch. It's just the way the game industry is now. The ability to patch games after they've been committed to disc has resulted in the situation that, publishers are putting games out when they feel like they need to meet a deadline and then patching it afterwards. That's just the way the industry is going. Nobody likes it. But to make out that this Shenmue re-release is some horrendous example of the extremes of developers taking a piss in the way that GameSack seem to have been doing is an overstatement. It is an exaggeration. And again, you have to remind yourself how we got here. This is a game that was abandoned, that never was going to come out, that was an albatross around Sega's neck as they saw it. They didn't want to put any money towards it. It was a wonder that this has happened in the first place. And I'm not saying, again, that we should just accept any old shite, but it's not shite. There is evidence of people playing through this game from start to finish with very, very few bugs or issues. I've got a 2.5 hour gameplay on this channel that I've uploaded that shows me playing with 0 glitches, 0 bugs, no issues whatsoever for 2.5 hours. Sounds like faint praise. Of course you should be able to play through an entire game and not discover any bugs, but that's just not the world we live in right now. And D3T are working on this game. So of course I'm going to go to bat for Shenmue and say to people, please help them work on it, help them patch it and make it the best version that it can be. I'm not happy about it coming out slightly early. It looks like that what must have happened. They must have sent it to the publishers without all the data on that disc. It's completely finished, but it is happening. They're working on it. So I just wanted to say at GameSack that they were exaggerating what they were saying, because the quote that they put out there was that this was almost unplayably bad, that you should boycott this game. And that is what sparked the Shenmue fans' responses and my response. Because of course we're not going to boycott this game. Of course we don't want the wider public to boycott this game, because this continuation of this saga that we are so heavily invested in. And again, I'm not objective. I'm completely a fanboy, I know. But I'm trying to be realistic about why we are so passionate about defending this game, despite the fact that it's come out with some bugs. And that is because we want to see the continuation of this series, and we don't want people to be put off by scaremongering tweets and information from people like GameSack. Again, there is bugs. Yes, everybody knows there is bugs in this game, but it is not unplayably bad, as GameSack have said on their Twitter account. Again, I posted a 2.5 hour video with no glitches. There's several other people that have posted hours and hours and hours of gameplay on YouTube that you can go and see right now that are glitch free, bug free. So it's clearly not unplayably bad. That was an exaggeration from GameSack, and that's all I was trying to get across to them. But unfortunately, they did kind of keep strawmanning me in that conversation. You know, I didn't say that there was no bugs or any of that. It's just not unplayably bad. It has some bugs. They're still working on it. We need to help them to identify all of these issues. Now, of course, you know, D3T might not have had the luxury of a very, very long, playtesting session. I don't know. I don't know what their schedule was, but maybe if they'd had a few extra months, I don't know what the business decisions were there. But this is a reality that we have now. We have to work with the reality in front of us, okay? All this wishing about how it had gone is pointless. Let's deal with the reality of that. And the reality is, we can help D3 to iron out all these little issues. And personally, I've only seen a couple. Since the first patch dropped, I've only seen a couple of minor audio glitches. Now, I'm not saying that other people haven't seen issues. You know, GameSack, I'm sure you have seen those issues. You've posted videos about your Space Harrier. Other people have posted information about the Space Harrier crashing and some other little issues. But I'm going to go to bat for this game, for this series. Because, again, nobody likes it, but it's a sign of the times that patches come out after a game has been released to fix issues. Yeah, back in the day of Mega Drive, games were a hell of a lot simpler. There was a hell of a lot less code to work through. But people like GameSack have been comparing this to the days of the Mega Drive, where games came out on console, on cartridge, and they were finished. That was the entire game. Of course they did. They had to. By necessity, a game had to be in its most complete stage before it got committed to a cartridge. You couldn't do DLC. You couldn't do patches. The development of these the ecosystem of patches has made publishers have this option of putting out games when they feel they need to, and then work on it after it's been committed to disc. And nobody likes that, but it's how the industry has gone. And I'm just saying that to try and make out that this Shenmue release is some awful example of the worst possible, like some extraordinarily bad example of post-release patches, is an exaggeration. It is an exaggeration. It's been worked on. PC patches already dropped. Console patches dropping very soon. You know, the console, the way it works for consoles is a bit more convoluted than PC, so that's coming very soon. So yeah, but of course the Shenmue fans will go to bat for this game because we want to see the continuation of this series. We want it to sell well. You know, we don't want GameSack out there telling people to boycott the game. And I wouldn't be going to bat for this game if it was literally almost unplayably bad, as GameSack have said. If it really was that bad, I wouldn't be going to bat for this game. But having played it for several hours, I can tell you, personally, I've only noticed a couple of audio bugs. And lots of other people have also reported, you know, I've shared bug-free gameplay. So I'm just saying that they were exaggerating. Yes, the bugs exist. Yes, D3 is still working on them. We can help them make it as good as it possibly can be. And that's, I guess, all I've got to say in this video, guys. Yeah. So yeah, again, I'm a super fan, definitely. I'm not going to be unbiased, But that's why there is passion from the community now. And I just don't think it's fair for GameSack and others to ridicule the Shenmue fans for going to bat for it. You know, especially when, like I said, there is evidence out there of much glitch-free gameplay. So their defence of it is not unwarranted. They're not just blind Shenmue fans. I'm a massive Shenmue fan, but I'm not blind. And if this game was unplayable, I would say so. It's not. It's very playable. You can go watch my gameplay of it for a little bit of evidence. But yeah, and I keep seeing so many positive reports of people playing this game and loving it and falling in love with it all over again. New players, you know, original Shenmue players introducing this game to their partners or their family, and then their family, their partners, loving it and enjoying it so much as well. And lovely, heartwarming stories like that, that the Shenmue love is out there and is affecting people all over again. And that would not be possible if this game was almost unplayably bad. So again, I just think GameSack have exaggerated the issue, and let's be realistic again. This was a game that wasn't going to happen. Sega didn't want to put any more money into it. They outsourced the conversion of it to D3T. Again, we don't know the intricacies of the business decisions, what went on there. We do know that Sega were quite hesitant to spend any more money on Shenmue. You know, this wasn't a priority for them. We had to bang their door down to get this to happen, and it has happened. And that is almost unprecedented in video game history, that a forgotten game abandoned an albatross around the original company's neck as they saw it. Again, not because of the game's fault. Various business decisions, we've talked about that before. Was brought back, resurrected, purely from fan passion. You know, organised fan social media action and that kind of thing. The love for this series brought it back, despite the businessmen, the money men, not really wanting to take a risk on it. It happened anyway, and that's amazing. That's really something to be proud of, and to think that we've achieved something here. Yes, it didn't occur perfectly. I will admit that, of course, it's obvious. It didn't occur perfectly. You need a patch, they're going to work on it some more. But yeah, just, you know, the reason I'm going to bat for it, the reason the Shenmue community is out there defending it and saying, you know, let's not get too worked up over this, is that in order for this series to be completed, we need these re-releases to sell well, and then hopefully Shenmue 3 to sell well. And, you know, I'm going all in. We are going all in to defend this game, and to make sure that it gets out there and has the opportunity to affect people, as many people as possible, in the way that it did to us back in the day. And that's all this defence is. You know, I haven't said anything untrue. I've admitted that the faults are there, but let's get some perspective. It's very, very rare that a game comes out these days without post-release patches. Nobody likes it. It's just the ecosystem that we are existing in the game world currently. Some companies manage to get away from it. Nintendo have a very strict policy on that, and they don't tend to have patches too much. Of course, they're forced into not working with patches because the Switch has such a small internal memory. But regardless, you know, I'm not saying the entire industry is affected by this, but the majority of it is. And Shenmue is no exception, it seems. So I'm just happy it happened, and I'm happy that D3T is still committed to working on this and making it to be the best possible version of it that it can be. So that's it. But yeah, I've seen people loving this game. I've seen new players come into it and being spellbound by it. I've seen loads and loads of tweets of new players thinking, whoa, this game's amazing, I've fallen in love with it, it's so immersive and all the rest of it. And that wouldn't be happening if this game was almost unplayably bad, like GameSack have said. So please don't boycott this game. And it's very playable, and it's very fun, and it's still magic, and it's still Shenmue. It just needs a little bit of work, just like most other games that are coming out these days, unfortunately. But there it is, guys. Yeah, Shillmueso signing out. Bye-bye.